first shot on the Galaxy S3.
What's up, team? This is Jovian, and I'm joined by my partner in crime, Songers. Songers, how are you?
I'm doing very well today. Excited to be back, excited to cast.
Yeah, actually, I'm really excited about today. This is going to be the Eastern Finals, National Finals, so we're looking forward to some really good games. Not sure, CombatEX just fell out of games, so we'll have to get word on what happened there, but I'm sure he'll be back soon. My production manager will keep me appraised in my headset on just when the game will start, but I guess we'll just talk through this. So today I'm excited, but it's bittersweet, right? Because today's the finals, so we're going to see some amazing games. We're going to finally figure out who represents Canada from the Eastern National Finals. But at the same time, I mean, it's all over after today, so it's a little bit of sour with the sweet, right?
Exactly. And now it looks like CombatEX has just joined back into the channel. Not sure what he had to do there, but everything should be good. And
playing psychological games, maybe disconnecting, pouring drinks on his keyboard. But having said that, the game is going to start, so we'll just throw to the Esports Canada sting, and we'll talk it out on the other side of that. Welcome back, everyone. My production manager was just talking to me about how amazing that sting was, and I couldn't help but laugh to myself. It is pretty amazing, though. So we have today. Oh, I pressed on the wrong screen. Today we have CombatEX versus Bai on Ohana, and in the bottom right of the map, we have our blue Terran, Bai.
Blue Terran did a lot of interesting plays yesterday, working his way through the bracket. He was able to make it into this semifinals against the one and the only, spawning in the top left-hand corner as the pink Protoss. That's his favorite color, I guess. CombatEX.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the colors get selected, if it's just random or if he actually wanted that color, but I mean, it looks good on Protoss. And already a quick pylon coming for CombatEX out near in between the natural and the third of Bai. Probably won't get scouted since it's so far out. So I guess we'll have to see what CombatEX wants to do with this. I'm just assuming he's going to be doing some really heavy early pressure.
We know that the finals here today, it is out of best of 5, so the players do kind of have a chance to just mess around a little bit. And it looks like CombatEX is just having a little fun on an early Sunday afternoon. He does seem like he's going to be going for that classic 2-gate proxy.
He wants to win or lose very quickly, my friends. So he is going to go for that probably dual gate proxy. Not sure if Bai will spot this. I mean, players do usually look around the map pretty extensively against Protoss. And look at this, he is going to spot it just in time. We'll see if CombatEX does decide to cancel this or if he sticks it out. He does throw out the dam. He knows that he's been caught. But will he be able to produce enough units and still get the jump on Bai?
Bai is just not impressed right now. I can just imagine him, the unimpressed Flash, sitting there crossing his arm. Man, that was original.
And we do see 2 racks coming out for Bai and a Cyber Core coming out right at the proxy position for CombatEX. So we're still going headstrong with this. Bai's response is great, though. He should have enough Marines to deal with any Zealot pressure. And with the Cyber Core taking so long before he can even get Stalkers or Sentries, those Marines will have a pretty good time stepping away from those Zealots.
Definitely. The bunker and supply depot wall already going down for Bai. And, you know, Bai's not going to lose to something like this. If we look at the brackets, he has basically almost 2-0'd every single opponent he's came across, taking out 2 of the people from Clan Killing Spree, which has shown a pretty high representation in this tournament so far.
In the Montreal area. So, yeah, now we do see Bai even setting up some SCVs at the front, getting ready to repair. 2 Marines are going to be rallied into that bunker. This Zealot is chasing away that SCV who scouted his stuff. He's like, damn you! I was so close! 2 Marines are sitting in the bunker. SCVs are on patrol. No, they're going back to harvest. I think Bai feels that he's strong enough with this one bunker. Now, although this was spotted, and although it seems like, oh, this double racks failed, at the same time, he's prevented Bai from really moving out to get his expansion. Typically, Terrans will get that early expansion and just get a higher economy. And we do see Bai quickly building an engineering bay up at Combat's Natural just to prevent him from expanding as well.
So both players kind of in a similar situation right now. None of them can actually safely get their expansion because For Bai, he doesn't know what's down there. And for CombatEX, well, he has his most important structures close to the base of Bai, which can be easily sniped. He is getting that warp gate research, though. But, I don't know where he's going to go from this. He's going to try to get that expansion. He's going to go straight in. And look at that. There's a fight going on. Zealot doing some damage on the Marine. But the one Stalker does get taken down for one Marine.
That one Stalker going down was absolutely critical. Sure, he might have killed one, maybe two Marines. I'm not sure how he killed, but it wasn't worth that one Stalker's life. The Stalker should be able to outrange all these Marines, and with proper micro, he can handle this, but it looks like a little misstep by CombatEX. Almost loses that second Stalker. This unit is so valuable to him right now, he cannot afford to lose any more health or any more Stalkers.
This is the only attacking unit that CombatEX has right now. Actually being joined by another one of the Stalker buddies right as it pops from the gateway near the base. But right now, that's it. He has two Stalkers, and if he loses these two, it's going to be, you know,
nothing to stop
GG
him from killing his Cyber Core and his Rex. But at the same time, he is building some production in his base, going for a Robo facility and the two more racks. So
clutch scan.
Yeah, that scan does now notice that production is getting ramped up in CombatEX's base. I think that things should stabilize from here. At some point, CombatEX, this soft contain will fail. He'll have to pull back. He's going to have a bad time losing that Cyber Core and that gate, which he looks like he's about to do right now. These two Stalkers will not be able to hold back this huge Marine force. 3 Stalkers now, but I'm not sure if he can micro this properly. He will be able to attack a fair bit, but there's so much damage on those Stalkers, they're going to have to retreat, and these Marines are now going to be able to take out that pylon and absolutely decimate this production. CombatEX is going to have to get a new Cyber Core at his base, otherwise no more Stalkers, no more tech, and another Stalker goes down to that massive Marine ball.
And the pylon goes down for CombatEX. That basically shuts down all of that little tech going on there. But as soon as the Cyber Core drops, all he's going to be left with is Zealots. Trying to get another pylon up there to warp in or something. But right now, CombatEX is in a lot of trouble. Once the Cyber Core goes down, what's he gonna do?
Now, when it's unpowered, he still doesn't get the tech advantage.
No, he does.
He still does? Alright, I just wasn't sure. But, yeah, so once that goes down, which it has now, CombatEX is now rebuilding his Cyber Core at half. He'll need to wait a little bit before he gets any more tech, any more Stalkers, any more Sentries. Meanwhile, Bai is now going to push the issue, going to clear out this El Naga Watchtower. Stalkers are aware, they do start to move out, wisely using them to start a step a little bit. Every little bit of damage you can do on this Marine force is will pay dividends if you have to face them later on at your base. CombatEX not deciding to do any more micro, though, just running away. No, he is still attacking. May be able to get this SCV, which will be a critical pickup, make sure that there's no bunkers built up at his base. But still, this force is looking very scary for Bai.
And the Marine force is going to be pushing up this ramp. Only 2's out to end. The Stalkers, the Observer's not going to do any help in this fight. And Zealot's just melting to that Marine pressure, now making them retreat up the ramp. Observer goes in, trying to do something, but all he does is see the incoming death of this Marine ball.
Yeah, here comes the bunker up in the back. It may not even be needed. These Marines are more than enough of a challenge for these Stalkers. I mean, the micro is great. He is doing a great job picking off the weakened units, but there's just so many Marines, and that DPS is so epic. It's just a matter of time before all these probes get munched down, and then there they go. You can see how quickly they get shot down by this Marine DPS. The Marines do decide to run away as their numbers are thinning, and the Stalker count now exceeds that of the Marines. Actually, equal now exceeds. The bunker is ready just in time. Clutch play by Bai, and now Bai will be having a good time just attacking this. But with the Immortal on the field, that Immortal should be able to bust that bunker up at CombatEX's natural.
No problem for that bunker. It looks like the Observer is scouting out the base, and we see the bunker was taken out by CombatEX, and he's going to be pushing out now. Oh, I was so impressed by that micro there, pulling back the weakened Stalker, not losing a single one. Yeah. And now the counterattack, it looks like CombatEX is moving out. He already has that proxy pylon there, warped in on the high ground as he put that down as the Cyber Core was going down. And now here comes the warp in of those sentries, using it to probably be blocking those bunkers from being repaired.
And this timing is wonderful for CombatEX. Gets just in time for the bunkers, and now it looks like the tables have been turned. It looks like Bai is now on the defensive, having to lift up his natural and moving it away, which is a critical pickup for CombatEX. Having lost so many probes at his base, he needed to do something to get himself on even footing with Bai.
Oh man, this game is just back and forth, back and forth. But now it looks like Bai is going to be just waiting for his stim to complete, his crucial upgrades, especially that concussive shell. The Protoss army cannot run away anymore. But it seems like a Colossus then is going down for CombatEX, and once those Colossus come out, it's going to be another flip.
So CombatEX does get at the fact that concussive shells are out, that one Zealot did, just as his name implies, go running up the ramp to check that out. So a little bit of scouting information for CombatEX. The soft contain won't be able to last forever, but the numbers for CombatEX are pretty high, and he is reinforcing with quite a bit of units. The Stalkers, however, aren't the greatest matchup against the Marauders, and if Bai does scout this, he might realize that he has a good chance to come and break that. With concussive shells on the Immortal from a running away force, he can easily also pick up a heavy gas and mineral unit of the Protoss force.
Poor Bai, though. He is actually very scared of coming down this ramp. This is probably the worst position you can be in as a Terran, when the Protoss at the bottom of your ramp has an observer coming to see what's going on and can just slice your army in half of that force field. So right now, Bai is flying his factory out, trying to see what is up in the Protoss base, but he needs to wait. And that's exactly what he's waiting for.
And here comes the pickup. So this wisely, actually, it's going to get spotted by the probe that happens to be moving. No, I'm not sure if the probe actually saw the medevac. Critically, I think those medevacs completely, and now the probe's coming again. I'm not sure how the vision works there, but I feel that those medevacs have just skirted around the vision of that probe, and if they did, this medevac drop is going to go completely unanswered by CombatEX. He is getting some Colossus, but that one Colossus is going to be very vulnerable at the main base. The main force at the front is being moved back by CombatEX, making me think that yes, he did see it indeed, but he has nothing at base to deal with this except for one Zealot and one Colossus, which is easily going to get focused down. The Colossus does not get slowed by the concussive shells because it's a massive unit. He does take down one Marauder, but for the cost of one Colossus.
So it looks like the army was fighting here. I think CombatEX was able to spot it with that observer. Noticing that there was no army in the main base. Now in a perfect position here to do a lot of damage. But the army, it does seem quite small. Here comes all the Stalkers focusing on the fire of that medevac. The Immortal coming in for backup. And once these medevacs go down, this army is trapped here.
Yeah, that Immortal's going to do wonderful damage against these Marauders, which is exactly what he needs. And then CombatEX should be able to pick off that factory, which will prevent our Terran player from getting level 2 upgrades. Doesn't look like he's got another factory in his base. So that's a pretty good pickup for CombatEX, although he did lose that Colossus, which was a big loss. He is able to get his production back online, and Bai is now going to have to deal with the splash damage of those Colossus.
Good spot on the observer there by just seeing that blur in the map, was able to spot it and take it out. And now CombatEX, we see moving out again with this Colossus Zealot army. Bai lifting up to drop again, but noticing that the army is pushing forward, probably decides that I should probably defend my base right now against this Protoss force.
Yeah, and CombatEX is now deciding to knock out the back rocks, giving him another avenue with which to assault his opponent. The factory in the base was left, so CombatEX doesn't feel that he needs to take it down. Would have been a nice pickup to get rid of those 2-2 upgrades.
Colossus!
Oh, that Colossus does look like it's in a scary position, but as long as CombatEX can reinforce with enough Zealots to be the meat shield, and now the units are moving around, they're going to pick off that Colossus. Everything is focused onto the Colossus. The Micro is not the greatest. Now, without the AoE, I'm not sure that this force can hold back, and CombatEX is going to lose every single unit at the front. The Guardian Shield is a little bit late. The force fields aren't the best, and every single unit of CombatEX goes down cheaply, I might add.
Oh man, that was such good positional play there. By noticing that CombatEX did have his Colossus in the back, was able to stim up and snipe it, and that totally just ended CombatEX's pressure.
Yeah, that factory's still being annoying in the base, getting a little scout back there, and now deciding to move out. Sooner or later, Bai is going to get his 2-2s, and CombatEX is probably going to kick himself for not just having at least one unit shooting it down. In the meantime, CombatEX is securing his third, so he is still one base ahead of our Terran counterpart. So this is good for CombatEX. It means that whatever he loses, he might be able to reinforce faster and easier with the income. He is getting his Twilight Council, no doubt, to get his higher upgrades, and also to possibly go towards High Templar, maybe even get Zealot legs.
So it looks like CombatEX is, Bai is getting ready to pressure this third base. Maybe he hasn't scouted it yet, but he will be scouting it right now. Pushing in, he's able to see that there's no army defending, and he's going to do so much damage to all the probes, and possibly even going to get the Nexus here.
Yeah, I think that Nexus is in danger of going down. It's already down to half health. You can see the massive DPS of these units. CombatEX's army is going around to completely cut this army composition off. Those medevacs will have to pick up and run away. Those Stalkers don't have blink, but they are in tow. A bad rally ensures that a few more Marine units do get killed, but Bai did some pretty heavy damage, does deny that third, and is able to get away with most of his army.
Got away with actually all 3 medevacs alive, so very good trade-off there for Bai, only losing a couple of the misrallied units. So right now, CombatEX is going to try to get that third base again. He wants to get that third base because the 2-base Protoss, it has its limits in how strong it can get. He needs the gas, basically. Protoss is such a gas-intensive race.
Yeah, especially if he wants those heavy cost units. Immortals and Colossus are ridiculous, and even if you want some sentries, they are basically only gas. And the pylon didn't get scouted by the roaming medevacs. It may have been seen on the map, but Bai decides to leave it there, which gives CombatEX a little bit of an ability to harass behind the army if Bai does decide to pull out again. And CombatEX being really active with these probes, putting little pylons all over the map, even has a probe at the third of Bai just to make sure he knows the timing of that third base.
There are just pink dots everywhere on this map. Most of the map is covered by CombatEX. He has so much vision right now and is looking very safe. He's teching up that storm now. Just to get that extra AoE and hoping to, I guess, kind of surprise when Bai overmakes and overcommits in Vikings.
Yeah, the High Templars are such a critical unit in this matchup. High Templars, I mean, the Storm is obviously powerful, and I know Terran's constantly complaining about how powerful it is against that Bio Ball. At the same time, Feedback is enormously powerful against Medevacs, so not only do they play great base defense from drops, but they play great offensive support in the front lines as well. So High Templar should add a huge boost to CombatEX's army, and now this probe is going to spot the time into that third. At the same time, Bai is moving out with his force. Observer sees everything, though. Bai is completely noticed. Even one Zealot decides to say, "I see you," but he gets shot immediately. Observer is following this big force, and this Bio Ball is going to probably combat CombatEX's force as well.
CombatEX is currently postured at his third, getting ready to receive this Terran army, but it looks like the Terran army is not going to attack just yet. Happy to stay outside that watchtower, but now moving up and moving closer to CombatEX's natural expansion. And he's going to go straight up that ramp. It might be dangerous. Fortress could cut this army in half, but it doesn't seem to get it. And now Bai has the high ground advantage. Oh my god! Huge storm going up, landing perfectly on those Vikings. Zealots charging in, and it looks like this army is going to get totally cleaned up.
That storm was so critical. The Viking count was huge for Bai, and Bai thought he probably had a good advantage there, but the storm was just too much, absolutely cutting that army down. So game number one goes to CombatEX in a ridiculous back-and-forth game. This is a best-of-5 series, so CombatEX still needs to win 2. Bai needs to win 3. We're probably just going to hit a couple of advertisements, but please stay with us. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Yep.
I am not just a television. I am a Samsung Smart TV. I am your window to the world. A portal, so no matter where you are, you're in the front row. I am a gateway, so you can access anything and watch everything. The only question is, where will your passions take us? Experience the future of Smart TV now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for our second game between CombatEX and Bai. That first game, such a back-and-forth game. I had no clue who was going to win that.
It's like watching tennis, and I heard you've used that comparison before, where StarCraft is kind of like tennis.
Well,
a little bit of
more than other sports. I mean, more in the sense that it's a one versus one kind of sport, unlike not really a team thing.
You're lobbing balls of units at each other.
Yeah, pretty much. working on that micro of that serve, right?
Yeah, but that was a really intense game. It was fun to watch. It never, I mean, Bai never got past that. It seems like he kind of got stuck behind CombatEX. CombatEX was always one step ahead of him, which ensured that Bai wasn't able to keep reproducing that army as quickly as Bai wasn't able to reproduce that army as quickly as CombatEX was able to. But CombatEX, interestingly, starting with a little bit of proxy play, having to move into a more standard play, and still able to pull it off, even with the deficit of losing those production buildings in the front.
Coming back after a proxy play, that never goes well for me. I proxy, they scout it, I GG. But I guess that just teaches you one thing, to stick to the game.
So this game is starting. The map will be Antigua Shipyard. We'll just hit Esports Canada Sting, and we'll hit you on the other side. welcome back, team. So this is game number 2 on Antigua Shipyard, and it is again between CombatEX and Bai. And I'm actually really excited to see how Bai comes back from this, to see if CombatEX continues to do any proxy play, or if he's just going to play straight up against his opponent. And this map doesn't really lend itself well to proxy play unless you get an early skip.
Before we talk about that map, let's introduce our players here. We have the Blue Terran spawning in the top left-hand corner of Antigua Shipyard. Bai.
Indeed, there he is. And in the opposite corner of the map, in cross spawns, we have our pink Protoss. Once again, it's CombatEX.
CombatEX. He's probably, I don't know what he's going to do this game. I was surprised he would even go for such a strategy in the first game, but I guess, you know, you have a chance to kind of feel your opponent out before you actually, you know, get to play them for the couple of matches. And now Combat has a pretty good understanding, I guess, of how his opponent plays.
And how he matches up, even.
Yeah, he knows that he can probably beat his opponent in a macro game, because that's what the game turned into, even though he had a deficit in doing that proxy.
Yeah, so he was able to beat his opponent, even though he had that deficit at the start, which means that he can probably win in that micro and that macro sense. So
that's at least what he's thinking right now.
Yeah, so indeed that's a psychological victory and as well one win on the board. So now both units are going to scout each other. I do decide to go cross spawn. CombatEX does the unit go across first, and they're both just going to continue along. So they will see each other quickly. It'll be interesting to see what CombatEX does with this probe that will now be able to be very close to the Terran base.
Okay, so the Terran isn't walling off their front wall, and once you said, that's more of a stylistic thing than anything else. But at least we know from this that the Terran isn't going to be trying to hide any sort of tech. The barracks, no gas, is most likely going to be some sort of one Rex Expo. And I think I can say the same for CombatEX, also probably going for an early expansion build.
Yeah, indeed, both players are probably going to be content to sit back and econ up. The chrono boosts are all over the probe production of CombatEX, so he's just happy to get his production or his economy up and running so that he can save up that 400 minerals for a Nexus.
Now that sneaky little probe of CombatEX just hiding out in the corner. Please don't get me, please don't get me, he's seeing. And the Marine, as you said, about the vision, it's funny because, you know...
We didn't say this on stream, though.
Oh, we did. This was afterwards. But, oh, SCV does go down to the probe army. But about the vision thing, as you were saying...
I mean, clearly that probe could see that Marine. I mean, they weren't that far away from each other. I think the next step in evolution of RTS should be that you don't have fog of war where you literally have this wall of invisibility that you can't see beyond, but instead things might get fuzzy as they move along, just like in real life where things are far away, you can still see a building in the distance, but it gets fuzzier. Yeah, so, and it's not like it's just there's nothing there. So that would be pretty cool to see, and then high ground would permit you to see even more. And then having vision for each unit would be pretty cool too, like being blocked by structures. Anyways,
the probe does get chased out by that one Marine, and CombatEX, you know, making a very early call, saying that's game. CombatEX, you know, known for his, I guess, style of confidence, but whatnot. But we did see a backfire on him yesterday when he spelled easy against Murasimoa.
Yeah, there you go. So both players are getting their natural up. We're gonna see probably a little bit of building up until we get 2 basic economy up and running, and then both these players start showing their hand. What are they going to decide to do in the long run? We do see CombatEX going for the Robo facility, so we will see possibly Immortals, possibly moving into Colossus play. And then on the Terran side, we do have 3 racks production, so heavy bio build coming out of Bai once again.
This is a lot of racks for a fast expansion. I think CombatEX, you know, might have gone into Bai's head. Bai is dropping a lot of production. He's trying to defend from something, or he could be very aggressive of this, but we'll just have to see what route he decides to take.
Yeah, the timing of this could be very good for Bai. You saw in the last game, because the Marine numbers were so high, he was able to push CombatEX all the way back to his main base. CombatEX eventually did hold that, so perhaps for Bai, the best thing he could do is move in, poke, kill as much as you can, but then make sure you keep the macro going, make sure your army stays on top of that force. The stalker does come up to poke, does notice the number of Marines, doesn't see any Marauders, but probably has a good sense of exactly what he's playing against.
So this does look like a typical 3-game Robo. However, the Observer is now almost out. It's going to be scouting the base of the Terran to see exactly what's going on. If we have a look at the front of the Terran ramp, there are a couple, there's only 1 bunker, but looks like they're moving out now with the SCV's Amri. That's a lot of Marines. and it looks like he's going to be scouted out by this observer. So great observer timing there by CombatEX, and he's going to be ready to receive this.
Exactly, and the unit composition does go around the Xel'Naga. The stalkers do show that I know exactly where you are, CombatEX says. That observer was actually absolutely clutch, because this unit group would have gone completely around that Xel'Naga tower, tried to skirt around it and do a little surprise attack. Meanwhile, these stalkers are trying to whittle down this Marine force. Marines do not regenerate on their own. They do not have shields. They do not have regenerative bio like the Zerg force. So now these Marine units are just getting sliced down. And Bai at some point has to realize that this is not going to work for him. Even if he does run away, these stalkers being faster and outranging them are now going to be able to absolutely obliterate this entire force. And this is absolutely devastating for Bai. He can't feel good at this point.
Man, now just I feel so bad for Bai. Like, these Marines, they're just charging forward, but no, the stalkers, they can just out-micro these Marines all day, especially with a micro level at this caliber. Now Marines in full retreat going back to the base, and we see Marauder production starting immediately for Bai.
And this is a good choice by Bai. Those Marauders are going to absolutely own those Stalkers. Stalkers just can't stand toe-to-toe with a Marauder force. But at the same time, he did lose a lot of Marines he probably didn't want to lose. I'll be interested to see if CombatEX wants to bust up this ramp. I'm not sure if he has the DPS. Probably just wants to kill that SCV, and does. Not sure if it was worth it. He does lose one Stalker in the count. These Marines do continue to get shot down by the laser beams of the Stalkers. Stalkers are forgotten about. One Stalker goes down, another Stalker very close. The micro is decent, but a little bit of sloppy play does prevent CombatEX from keeping his Stalker number so high, and yet another Stalker goes down. CombatEX has to be very careful with these units. He can't afford to lose many more of these.
We saw this in a game, I think, yesterday. I believe, I forget who it was between, but the Stalker numbers, I think it was Believe actually, got lower and lower, and it was really hard to hold sort of terror and aggression afterwards. But it looks like CombatEX is going straight into that Colossus tech, so this is a very fast Colossus push, and I think he's going to be doing this on a 2-base timing, so waiting for that +1 to finish, he's going to go straight for the attack.
Yeah, and by the time that +1 finishes, he probably should have about 2 Colossus out, and will be able to have decent damage coming out against the force of Bai. And if Bai was to continue his Marine production, then they would have had a bad time against those Colossus. Luckily, he is getting some Marauders out, so he should be able to, if he scouts this and notices it in time, he should be able to hold this pretty well. And now CombatEX notices that he can take some pot shots on this supply depot without any response from Bai, so he's more than happy to do so. At the same time, we do see the force of CombatEX just waiting in base. The 2 Colossus are out, a third will be out, possibly even a fourth will be out by the time he gets to the front of Bai's base.
Oh man, this is going to be such a devastating push for Bai here, especially when the starports are used to make these medivacs, because as CombatEX said, you know, poking fun at his opponent, the starport does seem a bit late. And
we do see the factory moving out for Bai. It's going right across the middle of the map. We'll have a good chance to snipe this if he so chooses. At the same time, Bai will get a good scout on the composition. We'll notice now that Colossus are out, and even if he suspected it before, now he will know. You did see CombatEX try to remove his Colossus at the last second, a little bit of micro magic, hoping that Bai doesn't see it. And now the big force from Bai is moving out, possibly to intercept this unit composition, but the observer is in tow, so it does know that this army is moving out. CombatEX is moving to the middle to receive it, trying to take control of that high tower, and now all of these units are getting caught off guard, and these units are just getting sliced. No sentries are in this composition to stop them, but it really doesn't matter. The Stalkers are just fast enough to take out unit after unit. Bai is desperately trying to run back to base, but without Stim, he just can't outrun this unit composition.
Oh man, Stim is so close to being complete. If only he had it a little bit earlier. Oh, units getting trapped out in the front too, taking a lot of free shots there. And it looks like now the assault, good snipe on the observer there though, is able to deny some vision, but with those Colossus at 9 rings of extended thermal lance, it's going to be really hard.
Yeah, and the Colossus do see the high ground, so they're able to shoot up there even without the help of the Observer. The Vikings are shooting the Colossus, but the DPS isn't high enough. The units for CombatEX are great. They're doing a great job tanking for these Colossus, which are doing the main DPS. The Stalkers are dwindling, but so are the Marauders. Marauder and Stalker number are almost the same. Vikings coming in to attack that Colossus that is low. A proxy power going up a little bit too close, but the units are cleaned up for Bai. And CombatEX now has nothing in his way to move. He can just freely move into this natural.
You have 2 Colossus there. You have 2 Vikings that were just in a great position on top. But right now, there's no ground army for Bai. All he has is a couple of Marines trying to remake those bunkers, but the war bits just keep on coming.
Yeah, and with the vision from those Colossus seen onto the high ground, he can even warp in into the main if he likes. This unit of competition is going in through the natural, though these SCVs will not be able to get those barracks up in time. Now these units just on auto attack, attacking whatever's within range, and that range is massive for those Colossus.
Charge, says CombatEX as he's stomping into Bai's base. SCV's being pulled now. This is it. This is the all-in that Bai is going to be doing. Hopefully those SCVs can tank enough, but with the micro and the warp in, I don't know if it's enough. So much damage, those SCVs getting roasted, but the Vikings are doing great against the Colossus.
And those Stalkers take down those Vikings. It's nothing left now to stop CombatEX from pushing in. He was able to munch down a whole bunch of SCVs, and we do see Bai saying GG, CombatEX with a little BM shortly thereafter. So CombatEX now up 2-0 in this best of 5. We'll be coming back to Game 3 shortly, right after a few ads from our sponsor.
All right, you ready, Kevin? And flip.
Whoa! Did you get that?
Yep. Look at this. It takes like 20 pictures at a time. I never miss anything. Isn't that awesome?
Oh, that's really cool. You should upload these.
I know, right?
That is really amazing. Pictures are so clear.
Kevin's a handsome devil.
That phone does everything. Search dog tricks.
Okay, see if we can teach him something cool. Look at how lazy Kevin is.
Kevin, get it together, dude.
Come on, Kevin.
Take 20 pictures with Burst Shot on the Galaxy S3.
I am not just a television. I am a Samsung Smart TV. I am your cheer on Canada and follow Twitter on screen machine. The only question is, where will your passions take us?
What's up, team? We're back, and CombatEX taking a pretty commanding 2-0 lead in this best of 5 versus Bai. Bai now having to win 3 straight, which is no small feat, especially in the game of StarCraft.
The games that they've just played, CombatEX just looks like he's in a commanding lead, as you said. He seems to be dictating how these games are going. Every single step, he seems to be almost one step ahead.
But the real question is he in a commanding lead, Nick?
That's what I just said, Frank.
I'm just trolling you. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware, my name is Jovian, and I'm joined by my co-caster Songers. We're part of Esports Canada, not-for-profit organization all across Canada, from coast to coast, all the way from BC to St. John, New Brunswick, where our production manager is from. So, props to St. John, New Brunswick. And but yeah, so we're a not-for-profit organization. We just want to promote esports in Canada and make it big, make it grow. We want to see this stuff in bars. We want to be able to go out and enjoy these games with our friends and enjoy it as much as any sport, really.
Totally, and it really is about making esports known to the world, making it almost a popular household term. I would love that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you guys are helping to do by watching the stream, supporting these games, and especially watching the Canadian Eastern Finals. So if you're not aware, WCG is holding these finals in a mall in Montreal, the Complexe Desjardins, and I do have the address. It's 150 St. Catharines West. So if you are in the Montreal area, you can actually go and you can see these top players. You can see Bai, you can see CombatEX, you can see Believe, you can see everyone who showed up, even some players maybe who were out yesterday, maybe came back today. And you can also talk to the WCG members and learn about these great esports things that they're holding.
It looks like some chatter coming up from the players here, just talking about how that last game went. And it looks like Bai is saying, "You read me like an open book."
Bai being very gracious to CombatEX, but that's good sportsmanship coming out of Bai, and that's something we like to see. StarCraft can be so competitive that sometimes you forget that it's a game and that you're just trying to get better at it. I know I get extremely frustrated and I have massive ladder anxiety, and you yourself had ladder anxiety today, deciding to play AI instead of on the against the real big boys. I was
gonna do a couple of games, but then I decided, if I get really frustrated and actually lose, I'm gonna have a terrible time casting.
But you lost anyways.
I did.
So losing to an AI was way better than losing to some random person.
Knows.
Everyone knows.
It's not like
people listening to WCG Canada right now know that
everything.
That Songers, ESC Songers, lost. So, ladies and gentlemen, this game is starting. We're going to go to the Sting, and we'll hit you on the other side. Welcome back, team. This is game number 3 between Bai and CombatEX, and this one is on Daybreak. Saunders, why don't you do the introduction?
All right, so spawning in the top right-hand corner of this map, Daybreak is our blue Terran down 2-0. Yeah,
Down 2-0.
Down 2-0.
In a best of 5.
Bye.
Blue Terran, look at that. And his opponent, in the opposite corner of Daybreak, we have the pink Protoss. Both players sticking with their colors. We have CombatEX.
Sneaky CombatEX. If you have a look right now at the third for the Terran, a probe has moved out.
Yeah, and that proxy pylon is there. Let's see if he goes back to the Rax play. I think CombatEX, although it failed in his first attempt, after the second game he said, well, I know that 1, I can possibly come back and defeat you. 2, I know I beat you just straight up twice. And 3, really, I don't know what my third point was, but I thought I would say it anyways, just for funsies. I did have a good one, I just don't remember what it is.
So it looks like the first gateway is going out for CombatEX, and the scout is coming out for Bai. The gateway is in such a, interesting position. I'm not sure this SCV is going to scout it at all.
Yeah, and because the spawns are so far away, just because of that zigzag route you have to take to your opponent's base, it's going to take a long time for Bai to scout CombatEX's base and actually notice, whoa, I'm getting proxied. At the same time, we see Bai is building up his own barracks outside of his base, perhaps trying to play a little bit with CombatEX. CombatEX is going to scout that they're... Well, even if CombatEX doesn't get into the base, he's not going to be able to scout that second Rax anyway, so I'm not sure what this really accomplishes other than giving his Bai's units an ability to spawn closer to his opponent's base.
Well, definitely, I think what the point is hiding that barracks. CombatEX can't get a very accurate count of the Marines. You might see maybe 2 Marines or 3 Marines in the front, but then Bai will have another bunch of Marines waiting up there at his second barracks. So when the push comes, it's going to be a very big surprise for CombatEX. Right now, it looks like CombatEX is getting his Cyber Core down at the bottom as well. So here comes the scout from Bai, and he's going to see that there's nothing in the main base.
And a pause does come out for CombatEX. So like we said, these players are playing in a mall in Montreal. So all sorts of things happen in this mall. I mean, it's loud. There's lots of people who crowd around you at the same time. And internet at malls isn't typically the greatest. So CombatEX was told to pause, and I'm sure he'll come back very shortly. It won't take too long. These stops usually don't take very long. But yeah, we were at the WCG in Toronto, and we saw a lot of pauses where players were like, oh, there's some issue with sensitivity, or because they're not playing on their own computers. They do bring their own peripherals, but really anything could go wrong.
So it looks like the game has been resumed, and the first Zealot is going to pop for CombatEX. Probe almost able to sneak around that Marine there, and does get into the main base. Noticing that there's only 1 barrack, so nothing out of the ordinary here. But CombatEX...
Except that I'm sure CombatEX is thinking, where are the rest of your minerals, son? You should have way more than just this 1 barracks in here at this point. Unless, of course, you were building a CC in your base or at the natural, and neither of those are happening, so what is going on? So this might be critical, but I should have really blocked off that ramp with the supply depot, because then it's anybody's guess what your opponent is doing, right?
Now the Marines are rallying from a different place. Now 3 Marines are going to be chasing that Zealot. Zealot's almost going to go down. Now Stalker takes some shield damage as well, and it looks like this little force by CombatEX is getting pushed back. SCV going down to the Stalker, but now Bai is going to be scouting that proxy again.
He does get the proxy, but at the same time, the longer this battle draws on, the worse it is for our Terran player. You can see now that he has been doing a lot of damage against that Stalker, but with proper micro, you can just regenerate those shields and stay out of range all day. And now Bai's in a really tricky position. Now he has his units coming in from different angles. His units on the outside are going to be rallied terribly, and these Stalkers are just going to walk up into the main base, up the ramp. They take down one Marine. These Marines are going to be chasing down that Stalker, but with the speed on that Stalker, absolutely nothing these Marines can do.
This micro... Oh, Marine does get that shot on that Stalker, able to take it down. But now a bunker coming up for Bai. He needs that bunker desperately because the Stalker is just going to pelt away, and only 1 Marine can't really do that much DPS against 2 Stalkers here. And now SCV is just taking out left and right. But it looks like Bai's going for the counterattack into CombatEX's base.
So it looks like CombatEX has been training pretty hard lately. I mean, he came second place in WCG Toronto. We do see the SCVs coming down off the line in a last-ditch effort. Of course, if Bai loses this game, he is out of the tournament, making it to the semifinals, which is wonderful. But really, he was gunning for that all-expense-paid trip to China. And we do see Bai is sending a few Marines down to the base of CombatEX. Not sure if he's going to decide to walk in. At the same time, these Stalkers are having a great time shooting all these SCVs, which cannot get close enough at all. These Stalkers are just too fast and their range is too great.
Oh man, all the SCVs are going down for Bai right now, and it's not looking good. He has a couple of Marines and an SCV at the front of CombatEX's ramp, but they can't do much because with Warpins, Protoss can just reinforce anywhere they want.
Your production is anywhere you have a power field. So CombatEX now in a commanding lead. This Zone Sentry, or this one Stalker in the front does get taken down, but really at this point, CombatEX can afford to be a little bit sloppy because he knows that he's killed a massive amount of economy of his opponent. He's not sure where those other units are streaming in from the outside, but really it doesn't matter. Just these last few Marines have to go down for CombatEX to just have a walk to victory.
If we look at the units now, only 5 SCVs left, and now the Marine attack is going at CombatEX's base. With all these probes, Bai needs to micro 2 fronts at once right now, and it looks like these Marines are going to get surrounded and taken out. And Bai gracefully taps out.
Yeah, it says good luck for the rest of the tournament. That means CombatEX does move on to the grand finals, which will be played later today. We're going to set up our next match between who's it? It's Believe and KS Alexei Moi. So please stick with us. We're just going to hit a few ads, but we'll be back on the other side with Believe versus Alexei Moi.
I am not just a television. I am a Samsung Smart TV. I am your cheer on Canada and follow Twitter on screen machine. The only question is, where will your passions take us?
Thanks. No problem.
What did you guys just do right there?
Just gave him a video.
Okay, let's get started.
You did that without a dongle.
It's pretty cool, huh?
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm texting and watching a video at the same time.
It's a boy. Check it out.
3. Oh, that's cool. That is cool.
That's cool. Wow. This is a lot to process.
Yeah. Introducing the Galaxy S3. Share like never before.
15 minutes. Welcome back, guys, and we are ready to go into our second semifinals matchup today. It's going to be between Lag TT Believe and Killing Spree's Alexei Moi.
Indeed, yeah. We did get to see Believe play at WCG Toronto. We got to see him play yesterday as well, and we got to see Killing Spree's Alexei Moi play yesterday in some good matches as well. Both players are very strong. I know Believe, when I was talking to him, he was super excited to go have a chance to play in China. So I know he has his eyes on the prize, as I'm sure everybody in this tournament does.
So both players, as you said, yeah, very strong. They have basically 2-0'd all of their opponents while moving through the brackets, and now they have met, and now they are going to be bumping heads here. We just need to wait for a bit while the players get ready to set up, and then we'll be ready to go. But I'm really excited to see how this turns out.
Yeah, I guess this is a good opportunity to talk about, in case some of you in chat aren't aware, WCG is holding these national finals. They held it all across Canada. So the first was in Toronto, and it was at the Eaton Centre. That was 2. And what happened is we saw some great players play. We saw some new people try out. Even people who weren't even that professional at StarCraft still came out and gave it a shot. Ultimately, it went down to CombatEX versus Hendralisk, and Hendralisk came out the victor. So from our central national finals, that means Hendralisk moves on. The week after, they went out to Vancouver, and they played in the mall there. We saw some incredible matches once again, some incredible talent out west, and ultimately Firezerg wins. Firezerg, another wonderful player, took all this time to practice, is really promoting his esports career, and now he has a chance to play. And now finally, we're in the East Coast, bringing you this series that you are currently watching to find our third StarCraft player to represent Canada at the WCG Grand Finals in China. And where are they playing, Songers?
They're going to be playing in Kunshan, which is an hour outside of Shanghai.
Mm-hmm.
Very beautiful city. and also one of the tech capitals of China. So perfect place to host a gaming tournament.
Yeah, and you were saying how beautiful it is as well. So it'll give the players
like
a good chance to look around and even see the scenery if they so choose.
Yeah, it's like a good mixture of old and new, right? You have your old buildings with like really nice waterways, and then you have the high tech and the large buildings, skyscrapers, and all that stuff.
So